Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby here with the star of the new revival of The Wiz, Nichelle Lewis. Uh, this production has really kind of taken a reverse journey that many shows take to Broadway because you all went on tour with it first before getting here to New York. So
Mhm.
I'm curious what you've learned in all this time performing the character around the country.
Um, I think for me, what I've learned probably the most is just that every audience is going to be different everywhere you go. So being on tour, like if you're in North Carolina versus like LA, it's going to be a very different audience and very different response to some of the things that we say. And that's kind of what I've learned the most, but I feel like I've also learned a lot about my cast and a lot about the show and I feel like I've really had time to like grow into my character and like do some more studying and research on, how I would like to portray her this time around. So it's been really great, honestly.
Yeah. And I think if I got this correctly, one of the reasons why you were chosen to audition was because of a TikTok post of you singing Home. And in that, post you're detailing a lot of really immense loss in your life. And what was it about Home that felt like this is the right way for me to express myself right now?
You mean in that moment or
Yeah,
now?
yeah, in that moment.
I think for me, the first time I sang home, I immediately understood every single lyric. I was just like, this is a journey that I can relate to wholeheartedly. I've lost so much in my life that I've had to understand where I am in the world and who I am in the world every single time someone passes, or every single time I've had to learn something new about myself, and go through things like everyone does, and unfortunately, like, I've had to lose so many people, and it's been a struggle, but I think it's also been something. I don't want to say that it was needed, but I think that it's something that has made me realize the importance of each person's life and the importance of just loving your life and just living it to the fullest, because you never know what could happen or who you might not see tomorrow. So for me, singing home was kind of about that. It's like living here in this brand new world. It's a lot. It might be a fantasy, it might be real, who knows? But no matter what, I'm here and I'm present, and I'm going to accept this new world and love it to the best of my ability. And um, I think that for me just resonated, just like I said, immediately when I heard it.
Yeah. Does that still inform the way you portray that song and sing that song? Like, what aspects of yourself do you bring into this character?
100%. Every single time I sing that song, every night, I think about this journey that Dorothy has had to go on, and she's gone through so much. And like just from the backstory that I talked to Shelley and was trying to figure out her backstory and where she came from and who she was the daughter of. And losing her mom and losing her dad and having to move with her aunt to a whole new place. Um, it makes you think.
Hmm.
And I think once you get to home, it's like that final time where she's like, okay, can I do this? I'm not sure, but I think I can. I think I have what it takes, and I've gone through this whole journey, and I think if I just stay present and I just know what I have in me is there already, everything I need is there already, then I will be fine, and I can make this new place home for me.
Yeah. And now, performing this song 8 times a week, it's a song that I think people have expectations with when they come in. Audiences might associate it with Stephanie Mills or Diana Ross. Do you feel pressure to perform it in a certain way? How do you deal with those like expectations?
Of course, I feel pressure. I mean, these are icons we're talking about. People who are just legendary. So it is a lot of pressure every night. I feel it, and every night I know what I need to bring to the table. But I also try not to think about it too much, just because this is it's gonna be hard to do a show when you're constantly thinking of, am I going to be enough for people? So I think for me, just trying to remind myself that I am enough and that the story I'm portraying is a story that I've created for Dorothy is what I need in the moment. And so although it's like a lot of pressure, I think for me, I'm just like, let's just tell the story. My goal is to have people leaving the show at night feeling joy or having felt something or understanding the story maybe even more than they did before. So that is my goal. I'm trying not to think about all the pressures of everything else, but yeah, that is my goal.
Yeah, and I mean, there is something a bit new with this production. Amber Ruffin has made some updates to the book, and I'm curious what the conversations were like with Amber, with Shelley. Were you looking to bring in kind of any modern sensibilities to this character?
Yeah, I think that was a lot of the talk, was that they wanted to bring something updated and fun that newer, people could vibe with, but also, older people would feel that same like classic feeling as well. But also something that was timeless, something that hopefully would not, go away too quickly. It's something that everyone can, sit and love for a long time. But also, I think that we really talked a lot about how things feel naturally and how things, um, I don't know what the word is, but like how things sit in our mouths. So a lot of the time, if we just felt uncomfortable with certain things, like we would just go to Amber, and they were very collaborative. They'd be like, "Okay, let's sit down. Let's figure out how we can make this better, or how we can work with you to make it feel comfortable for you." So they're amazing and they're very collaborative, which I love.
Well, I'd love to know about your collaboration with your co-stars because the four of you who make up that main quartet just seem like you blend your voices so well together. It seems like you are so in sync with one another through this whole performance. Did that kind of happen immediately? Did it take a while to fall into that?
I think it was pretty natural. I think one thing about Shelley that I don't think people have thought about too much is the fact that she's an amazing casting person. Like she casted the perfect people because I feel like we all just mesh so well, and I love everyone in this cast. Not just the four of us are great together, but everyone is we're all very close and very family type bond. So just with us, I feel like it's very easy to get on the stage and just be present with one another because in real life we're very comfortable with each other. And I think for us that was a big thing as well, like just making sure that we all felt comfortable together, and um, we all hang out and we all laugh and have fun. And that's like the biggest part of our show, I think a lot of people tell us that like it's just you guys together are just so amazing in the bond, we can see it. And I'm like, well, that's just because we're goofy together outside of this. So then when we're in the show, it's a whole other thing, and I just love them so much. So yeah, it was pretty natural for us.
It shows, I think. I think it shows. And you're performing alongside a couple, veteran legendary performers too, with Deborah Cox and Wayne Brady.
Mhm.
What was that like having them in the room? Do you pick up like tips and tricks about acting from them?
I think something that I learned, especially from Wayne, is like improv. He's so good at just like speaking and just I don't know how to explain. Like it's just the way that he says the lines. He can just like say something and it makes sense. Like I and I think for me it took me so much studying, but he's like, "Okay, I want to say something like this. Like I feel like I need to say something like this." And I think for me that was something that I learned from him, which was just how to speak. I don't know how to say it, But he's just so good at it. And then I think from Deborah, like she's just Deborah. And I think for Glinda, she just fits so perfectly in the role. But they're the kindest, sweetest people, and they've always been there to support me and lift me up throughout this whole journey. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. I'm curious what you kind of get from the audience each night too, because it is such a great room that to be in. The atmosphere is so energetic, especially during like a number like Everybody Rejoice. You can just feel it, kind of the people come alive. What does that do for you on stage?
We love it. I mean, sometimes they make us laugh because they say stuff. They'll be like, "Amen," like yes, or they'll respond when Ada Pearl says, you know, turn to your neighbor and say, something, something, something. I don't know what she when she says turn to your neighbor, and they like respond to her, and it's so funny. Like I just love it so much, and it really helps us have even more fun throughout the whole show. So.
And is there, I noticed like the curtain call is kind of insane because it feels to me, it felt like everyone's having a little sing off with their riffs. And is there like a competition every night to see who can go the
No.
highest, who can do what?
It's not really a competition. It's more just like I don't know if you know like when you go to church and you just start feeling something, so then everybody starts doing their own thing. I think that's kind of what it's like. It's just we just let ourselves go and we just are like, period. Like he just did a whole riff right there. She just sang in the stratosphere, period. So I think I think that's more of what it is, and it's just fun and a way for us to like end the night on a high note.
Yeah, it's certainly there's a lot of high notes. How are you keeping your voice in check and healthy for this is a huge thing.
Yes. I think for me, it took me a second to really get in my groove and understand how to properly keep my voice together. I mean, not that it was bad before, but I think just going on Broadway, I was like, okay, let me lock down on a good routine to make sure this is sustainable. And you know, I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not a robot, but what I usually try to do is like in the mornings I'll have like a boiled egg and like fruit to try and keep the acid reflux down, like low acid fruits. And then like I'll drink water and like I have a banana, but I usually try to stay away from any acidy foods and anything that's gonna cause any phlegm. And I drink a lot of water. I drink half a gallon before the show, and then I drink like a gallon during the show, or something like that. I drink so much during the show. And then after the show is when I let myself eat whatever I want. But before the show, I'm usually really strict about like everything I eat, and I also warm up like crazy. And my dresser and my hair wig person, they usually always come in and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's steamy in here," because I'll have the shower on the hottest temperature, and then I'll have my door closed and the mirror is just like all fogged up, and I have my steamer on in front of me. So I do a lot of stuff to try and like prep myself, but it's all gonna be worth it in the end time.
The personal steam room seems like a good, I don't know if I've seen that technique before, but that sounds like a good one. Uh, I, as the show gets out, you talked about kind of the joy that is felt in this show, which is very true. Um, and you can feel it once the show is over. Everyone has this like it's like there's this release that happens, and you can tell how much this musical means to people. And since you've performed it, all over the country, what have you learned about audiences in terms of why do you think it connects with people so much?
I think it's kind of like what I said earlier, just like the characters are so relatable. They're all looking for themselves in this world that might feel new to them. Like the scarecrow is stuck. And so he's been stuck there for so long, and when he gets let free, he's like, "Oh, okay. So now I have to rediscover myself and understand who I am in this place at this moment." And I think for each of those characters, it's kind of like taking them out of something that they know and helping them to understand who they are in this present moment. And I think for each person that comes and sees this show, I think that's something that they can relate to in this world where things change every day and you might feel a little lost for quite a while. And so I think for a lot of people, it's like, okay, I can relate to this person, or I can relate to this person, or I can relate to the whole entire cast. And I think that's the whole through line throughout the whole show is like everyone just discovering themselves in the present moment. Even in Brand New Day, they get set free from being under Eveline's power for so long, and now they're just able to go live their lives. It's like, oh wow, like I'm free and I can be myself. I don't have to feel stuck under someone else. So I think it's just about discovering yourself and knowing that who you are is enough.
Hmm. Very well said. Well, thank you, Nichelle, so much for joining me. Fantastic work in The Wiz. And everyone who's out there watching, make sure you stick with us the rest of this Broadway season. Nichelle, thank you so much again.
Thank you so much.